Why did it go so badly last night, in your view, Brian?
Well, there was numerous things. I mean, the managers are paid to get the selection right at the start and ensure that the tactics are correct for the game and to find a way to get results, irrespective of what players you have available. I felt from the start he got the selection wrong. I think O'Dowd, whatever about the shape of the team, because they've stuck with that shape consistently since he changed when Anthony Barry came into the setup, the former Chelsea assistant. But O'Dowd playing left back, he struggled through the game. He's a winger, a right winger mostly, playing left back. He was poor. I thought Lenihan had a poor game at centre half. He was picked ahead of O'Shea. The other options for left back might have been Slim. McLean was one. I think Manu was injured. But there were other options. In the middle of the pitch, selection of small bond. Went for a young player off the 21s again. Put him into that big match. Wasn't up to it. Didn't seem to understand tactically what was required.
He'd done well in a friendly before.
Did well against Latvia. I think you or I would have done well against Latvia that night, Tommy. They were one of the poorest teams I ever saw in Dublin. He shouldn't be measuring off those friendlies against the likes of Andorra, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta. They're the teams we've played in the friendly games. So Smallbone gets in. And Adam Ida, with due respect to him and his potential, and occasionally doing well and scoring the odd goal with Norwich, has not proved to be up to international standard. The ball comes off him too often, too frequently last night when he's played up from. So I think the selection was wrong. The setup was wrong. The shape of the team was wrong. They were outplayed. They didn't seem to understand that the Greek team were going to play the shape they did, 4-3-3, with the full-backs advancing. And Samarkis, it was almost like it was a surprise to them that Samarkis was getting up the left-hand side.
Do you think selection, tactics and actually being prepared for what the opposition were going to do, that's three so far?
They all proved to be all wrong. None of those, and then the actual performances in the game, the players looked tired and unready for the occasion. Now, you know, maybe with the
10-day training camp.
There's been no manager. He's had unprecedented support in the job, Stephen, both resources-wise and I'd say, given results-wise, his results are actually the worst set of results of any manager that's ever managed Ireland. And yet, it's been non-stop support from the association. 4 days in Bristol, 9 or 10 days in Turkey for acclimatisation. Huge numbers.
That's only right, though,
24,
isn't it?
26, 19 staff. Well, it's an association that are crying out for money, and yet there's massive money being spent on the team.
But if they weren't backing the manager behind the scenes, then they'd be criticised for that. Surely that's not a flaw of the associations in terms of giving Stephen Kenny everything he needs to get the job done.
Yeah, but he's not been getting the job done, Tommy. He's had four wins in 23 competitive games, 12 defeats. We've been out of the last three tournaments after 2 or 3 games. We lost to Armenia, Ukraine the last time early on. We've lost to Finland and Wales, Serbia and Portugal, Luxembourg early in the group. And now we've had another group where we've said, well, we've got to be in contention in the latter stages of the group. We've already lost the first 2 games. Acceptance that France are home, we were unlikely to get anything from it, and it was a decent performance on the back foot. But going to Greece, our manager has before every group was started, has given us the idea that we were going to be very competitive and that we might win the group. His aim was to win the Nations League group. We didn't. We got nowhere in it. The aim was to be competitive in this group and to qualify. It was going to be difficult after the draw, but we would have expected that we were going to go to Greece with all that preparation, all that investment, and play well.
So just to sum up then, were we badly prepared and naive in the way they approached the game last night, Ireland? Well,
that's what it looks like. The wrong players were playing, and the players that were playing weren't able to do the job that they were asked to do and what was expected of them against a team that in recent years have been struggling, did well in the lower section of the Nations League under Gus Poyet. But in general, they've been struggling. I mean, the Pharaohs beat them home and away not so long ago.